Hello everybody! Hope everyone is having a fantastic day. And yes, as you can see, I am no longer a druid. I am now a mage because I died. Unfortunately. Well, welcome again once to Deep Thoughts while MMO fishing. So topic today is why I like classic hardcore. And also, going to talk about the various MMOs I've played since 2000. Though I could have sworn I started in 1999, but apparently I started in 2000. So, classic hardcore. I think one of the reasons why I love classic hardcore is there's no pressure. You're just playing. You're just playing the game. And this is how I've always enjoyed playing the game. Is relaxing, leveling, doing what I want to do, not worrying about raids, not worrying about dungeons. Just leveling. And the simple fact is, I'm also an alcoholic. So for me, this is kind of the perfect mix. Is just, just enjoying the game, enjoying the storylines, enjoying the leveling areas. And if I die, so what? I have to restart and everything's great. Now, do I want to be 60? Of course I want to be 60. But I keep taking chances that I keep telling myself this is a bad idea, I should not be here. And then I end up dying and it's like, yeah, this is exactly why. I've been on the mage, there's been a couple of quests where I've gone, you know what? No, this is stupid, get the hell out. Which is why he's still level 14. So, and we just started Baron, so we're going to be pretty okay there too. But yeah, but that's really probably why I like classic hardcore right now is I don't have to worry about trying to do dungeons, I don't have to worry about doing raids, it's just me leveling out in the open world and just having fun. So for me it's very, very laid back. But and I think the other thing I love about classic hardcore is it reminds me, not exactly, but it reminds me a lot of the old MMOs. And we're talking the graphical breakout era of MMOs, because before that you had your micro multiplayer type games, which Neverwinter Nights, Shadow of Cerberus, Kingdom of Drakkar, Meridian 59. I think Meridian 59 might have been the first 3D. A lot of the other ones were 2D. I want to say Meridian 59 was the first 3D model MMO, but they were all very small. They weren't massive multiplayer. They were multiplayer, but they weren't massive multiplayer. I think Ultima Online, was the first real massive one. Well, actually, okay. Ultima Online for the West was, I think, the first massive multiplayer RPG. You had Lineage and Nexus, I think. They were, I think, Korean. They came out about the same time for that area, and then Ultima was more west. But that's also when 3D models really started kicking it in. And then shortly after that, you had EverQuest and Acheron's Call. EverQuest was my entry into the world of MMORPG. I had heard of Ultima Online. I had never played it. Which I kind of find weird, because, I played the other Ultimas. I played Might and Magic. I played, Heroes of Might and Magic. But I also, I think I also played, because wasn't there like just Ultima? But it was like a single player? But I think there was a version like that, and I know I played that. But I wasn't interested in the massive online. It didn't really check a box for me. But then again, I was never huge into the Baldur Gates. I liked them, but it was never like, oh my god, it's a new Baldur's Gate. Which a bunch of other friends were. And then, after that, after EverQuest, I messed with Ageron's Call a little bit. I still liked EverQuest more. But then after that, got into Dark Age of Camelot. Dark Age of Camelot was the let's try some different things era of gaming, because they weren't copying off of EverQuest. I mean, they copied some elements, but it wasn't like let's do the exact same thing, we'll just call it ourselves. No, they tried different things. Like, I mean, Dark Age of Camelot was, 3 different kingdoms, and the game was built around PvP. They brought in dungeons later, but the game was supposed to be based on PvP. And it was great. The first year of it was awesome. And then, unfortunately, they made a couple of changes, and when they made the couple of changes, things kind of went downhill from there. Same with the next game. The next game was Star Wars Galaxies. I freaking love Star Wars Galaxies. It had a horrible start. For those who know what rubber banding means, that game rubber bands so fracking much. But basically what rubber banding is you run ahead, 5 seconds later, you're back, 50 yards from where you were, because the game just could not keep up with where your actual location was. That was called rubber banding. And the beginning of Star Wars Galaxies, that went on for like a week, maybe 2 weeks. It got things settled down, but it also, God, that game had such a massive launch, and that was part of why it was rubber banding like crazy. Between rubber banding and lag, that was why. Was because it had a huge launch. We didn't see, I mean, I doubt seriously that there was ever a launch like that until Warcraft came out. But the other game that came out during that period that I played, City of Heroes. At that time, and honestly, even now, the physics engine in City of Heroes was amazing, and the character selection screen was a game all to itself. I probably played more in the character selection screen than I actually did in the game itself. That's probably an exaggeration, but probably not by much. I played a lot in the character selection screen, just making up heroes. But the physics engine in that was really, really impressive. Unfortunately, the game tried something new that people just were not ready for. Hell, I don't even know if they'd be ready for it now. And that was no loot. You basically had no loot for that game. I think they tried to add loot later, and it just was too late by then. But so there was kind of like, okay, I'm in the world, I'm having fun, but I kind of need direction. And yet you had quests that, you went from here, you went to there, you went to go do this, you had jobs, you went to go do those. But it's kind of like, okay, why am I doing this? It's like, yes, there's levels, but I want something. I want a carrot. And that's pretty much why that game kind of went away. You also had Phantasy Star Online, which I know of the game. I never played it. Then it was 2004. 2004 was the year of WoW. And you had a couple of other games come out at that same time. But what's sad is they failed because they tried to be like WoW. I mean, EverQuest, you had EverQuest 2 come out. EverQuest 2 just came out. They came out like two or 3 weeks before WoW did. It pretty much died instantly. And EverQuest 2 actually, I mean, it was a pretty game. I had a couple of friends that played it. And they really liked it. I mean, it had housing, it had a bunch of stuff like that. It was a pretty game. But it still was kind of running off the model of EverQuest, and Warcraft came out, and Warcraft simplified everything. I mean, to the point of, I think it was too simple. I mean, there's a reason why a lot of old school MMO folks kind of always said that WoW was kind of a children's MMO. It told you where to go. It gave you little question marks. Of who to talk to, this, that, or other. And MMOs before that didn't have that stuff, if I remember right. I'm trying to think if Dark Age of Camelot had symbols above people. I could have swore Dark Age of Camelot had symbols over people's heads. But yeah, but during this time, it's like Runes of Magic. I never tried Runes of Magic. Lord of the Rings Online, which I still play off and on every once in a while. Whenever I want to get a nostalgia fill for Lord of the Rings, I load up Lord of the Rings Online and play. And usually it's just walk around the Shire. For some reason, I love walking around the Shire. The music is awesome. The scenery, even for an old game, is nice. Warhammer Online. Oh god, Warhammer Online had so much great potential. Because it was another game that was kind of like Dark Age of Camelot, where you had different sides. So you had chaos, you had good, you had chaos, or I can't remember what the light side was. The good side was called. But that game had 4 different phases, and they promised that their big promise, because one of the problems with Dark Age of Camelot was crowd control. Was you could get mesmerized in Dark Age of Camelot, and you would be mezzed for like a minute. So everyone else in your party in the PvP fight would be dead, and then they would kill you. And as a guy who usually played a tank, I was one of the first ones. Because, well, especially Warhammer Online, I could block for the healer. You had to get past me to get to the healer. Because they had collision, which was, honestly, Warhammer Online, I think, was one of the first games, other than EverQuest, that had a collision. At least that I remember. I mean, I'm sure there was other ones, but EverQuest had collision, Warhammer Online had collision. And blocking for my best friend, who played a healer, was fracking awesome. But so we're doing PvP, through stages, through it's like 1 through 10, 11 through 20, 21 through 30, 31 through 40. So basically, at that point, they had 4 stages. 1 through 3 were fracking awesome. Crowd control didn't last long. It lasted long enough to affect the battle, but you wouldn't lose the battle because of it. You would have to recover, but you could still pull out a win. Then we hit stage 4. And I mean, that was like getting hit in the face with a brick. Because it's like me and the guild, we went out, we're doing, realm versus realm, or side versus side PvP. We run into a group, and I get mezzed, and everyone dies, and I'm still freaking mezzed. And then they just surrounded me, and waited for my mezz to run off, and then killed me. And I'm like, what the hell? And then we found out, it's like, oh, no. They basically broke their promise. It's like, player versus player combat was fracking awesome through the first 3 stages. And then you hit stage 4, and it was just like, this is bullshit. It's like, I'm not having fun anymore. And honestly, that's when I stopped playing. I went back to WoW after that. I'm like, no. If they would have kept player versus player combat like stages 1 through 3, I'd be having a blast. And I'd still be playing, and I would have still been playing the game. But you hit that 4th stage, and it was just like getting hit in the face with a brick. Then you had Final Fantasy 14 that came out during the same time. Guild Wars 2, Star Wars Old Republic. Oh, no, this is next. the next generation era. And most of these I've played. Star Wars Old Republic, like I took a break in 2012. The end of 2012, I took a break and played Star Wars Old Republic and Guild Wars 2. I did that during Pandaria, which I regret now. Not that I played those games, but because Pandaria turned out to be a beautiful fracking expansion that I missed for the most part. I only caught like the last 3 months of it. But you know, you had Star Wars Old Republic, Guild Wars 2, Final Fantasy 14, Wildstar, which that was another game that had a great concept, trying to do basically a sci-fi game in the mold of WoW. And I played it for like a month, and it just wasn't catching my eye. And then God, did that game last 4 years? I don't even think that game lasted 3 years before they actually shut down the servers, which is honestly kind of unheard of in an MMO for the most part. Final Fantasy 14, honestly, I didn't try Final Fantasy 14 till last year. Just didn't do anything for me. And I love the concept of Final Fantasy 14. I love the story of Final Fantasy 14. My main problem with Final Fantasy 14 is I like to play the game, not be stuck behind cutscenes. And then when I got to, oh god, what's after you got the original game, then the first expansion. I'm totally blanking on the expansion. But I got to it and it was just cutscenes. It's like, okay, travel here, cutscene. Travel here, cutscene. Travel here, cutscene. Okay, let's give you a little bit of combat. Okay, now travel over here, do cutscene. That was driving me insane. It's like, I understand why people are like, oh, it's got the best story, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you know, I love the story, but I kind of play this, I play games to play, not sit and listen to a bunch of story. So, it's like, I'm glad you all love it, but I'm going to go back to something else. And then that's about it. Everything else that's come out recently, I mean, you got Destiny 2, which I know technically is an MMORPG, but I find it hard to call it an MMORPG. Got Albion Online, Elite Dangerous, Crowfall, Star Citizen. I mean, Fortnite. Fortnite's an FPS. I wouldn't call that whatever. I wouldn't call that an RPG. Path of Exile is more like Diablo. But, you know, the Kickstarter, there's like Crowfall. I don't even think Crowfall's out yet. That's been in Kickstarter status for freaking ever. That's really... Those are all the games I've played over the years. I mean, the main games I've played over the years would be EverQuest, Dark Age of Camelot, World of Warcraft, Old Republic. I played Guild Wars 2 for a bit. I mean, I had a level... I think my one guy was like level 50-something before I decided to go back to WoW and finish up Pandaria. Then I played WoW for the most part for years. Didn't really play a whole lot of other games. Every once in a while, I'd go play something for a month, like Black Desert Online, which I love the fishing, I love the trading system in it. Oh, another game that came out that was trying to break the mold, Vanguard. But then Sony Online Entertainment got their hands on it and screwed it all up. But that was by the same folks who made Dark Age of Camelot. And that game had potential. The beta was freaking awesome. And then they basically ran out of money. Sony Online Entertainment came in and said, hey, we'll help. And then went, oh yeah, by the way, we know you want 2 more years, but yeah, you need to put this game out in 3 months. Which is the same exact damn thing they did to Star Wars Galaxies. But yeah, we know you guys want 2 more years, you know, to finish everything up. But yeah, now that we've given you money, you need to put this game out in 3 months. Yeah, Sony Online Entertainment especially back then. Oh my god, they screwed up so many games that it's not even funny. But I think that's about. I think that's about it. I don't think there's anything else. Nothing else but really. I mean, as far as other games during, other games that I've played, since let's say, when did I get my first PC? I got my first PC in '97. Before that, it was either playing on other friends' PCs or playing other people's consoles. So my first real PC was '97. Diablo, not Stargate, StarCraft. I really never got into Warcraft that much, which is really weird. My best friends did. I was never that much into much of an RTS. I kind of didn't like RTS because half the time it was, to be good at it, you basically just had to run a script. And I'm like, where's the... Okay, you keep telling me that RTS is like chess, except you're telling me there's a script. Now, granted, I guess technically you could do a script for chess too, for the most part. In some ways. But then the Elder Scrolls. Like, I mean, I played Arena, Daggerfall. I mean, Daggerfall is still probably one of my favorite games ever. And that's just because the world was humongous. 2, it was the age before internet was really a big thing. So you couldn't just look online for answers or look online to find out what's going on, what's going to be happening. So everything in Daggerfall was a surprise and was amazing. I mean, one of my favorite stories I love telling people about, my gaming, stories is my best friend calling me I think 1 o'clock in the fracking morning because his character in Daggerfall turned into a wereborn and started killing peasants. And because apparently a couple of days earlier he'd gotten attacked on the road by this boar-like thing, not thinking what the hell it was. And a couple of days later, during a full moon, he turned into a werebore and his health started going down unless he attacked NPCs. And then his health going back up. So it was, I mean, that's still one of my favorite fracking stories. But yeah, the Elder Scrolls, Heroes of Might and Magic, those were always some of my favorite games. And then MMOs entered my life. I still play some RPG stuff every once in a while. I played the crap out of Dragon Age. That game I played so much of that game. I basically had every achievement in that game except for one, and that was the City Wood Elf. Because I'd finished the Wood Elf. I'd finished every race combo, every class combo. The only thing I had left was to finish the City Elf story. And by then, I was kind of done with the game. So, but what other... One of these days, I'll probably play The Witcher. I still haven't played The Witcher. I've got it, just haven't played it. But other than that, I think we're good. But let me catch this last fish here, and I'll wave y'all goodbye. But I hope you guys are enjoying the podcast. If you guys want to leave me a comment, leave me a comment on topics you guys would like me to cover. I'd be more than happy to talk about anything you guys want to leave a comment on. Just let me know, and I'll do some research or just go off of what I think personally from that. But let me. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see y'all later. Bye bye. Peace out, everybody.